everyone. I have a very exciting announcement to make, and it has to do with Nietzsche and how amazing this writer is. The Will to Power, I read this one earlier this year. This book is published by Vintage, and it was edited and partially translated by Walter Kaufman. If you like philosophy, I recommend him, but he is certainly not for everyone because he gives some very cold truths that a lot of people, we just don't want to accept. Even I don't want to accept. Because he has no BS when he tells his truths. He's like, that's exactly what the problem is. And he backs it up with a lot of fact and logic. And in that light, he's very difficult to read, but he's also extremely inspirational, where perhaps we don't have to adopt 100% of his ideas, we can only adopt some of them, and then we could, like, for example, a judgment is synthetic, i.e. it connects different ideas. It is a priori, every connection is universally valid and necessary one, which can never be given by sense perception, but only through pure reason. If there are to be synthetic a priori judgments, then reason must be in a position to make connection. Connection is a form. Reason must possess the capacity of giving form. Judgment is our oldest belief. So, yes. He's a very unique philosopher, but that's how our judgments work, right? I'm totally in over my head in terms of explaining those ideas right now, but so that's just like a really quick little introduction to him. Either you really like his work or you don't. And then we have the basic writings of Nietzsche. This one was published by Modern Library, and I read The Will to Power before reading this one. Right now I'm in the Birth of Tragedy, and it's just pure art. The plastic artist, like the epic poet who is related to him, is absorbed in the pure contemplation of images. Metaphysics of music. He's just such a beautiful writer for poetic insight and the ability to pull together different ideas that we perhaps don't want to consider, but we should consider because they could make us more present and more real without any BS. So the announcement part is I received a book to review. So this video is just to introduce this book. It is a biography of Nietzsche, and this one will be published by Duggan Books, the same publishing company that did On Tyranny. And the author of this is Sue Prideaux. She also wrote a biography of Strindburg, A Life, and I'm very excited to read this because I really want to read biographies of people who write books, what's going on, people who translate books, people who, like, authors, philosophers, this type of thing. I have not read this one yet. I will read it this weekend. I'm floored. Basically, when I flip through it, my first impression is it's written in a very contemporary, casual way, where it seems it's not written like a novel. It's written like I guess a casual biography in terms of just being really easy to read, a lot easier than his actual philosophies. And for example, another dreadful boat ride brought him back from Sicily. When he had recovered, he boarded a train from Rome. Like, it's very accessible language. And I cannot show the contents of the book because it's not, it's an uncorrected proof, which is very exciting. The details for the table of contents: a musical evening, free and not so free spirits, human, all too human, the wanderer and his shadow. They're poetic and they're beautiful, and they seem to really complement his ideas. And this biography, it looks like it goes into a little bit of his actual life biography with an intellectual, cultural development of his ideas. So where did his ideas come from? What was happening in his life while he was developing these ideas? And even cultural influences, music that he loved, books that he loved, these types of things. So it looks like it looks like it'll be a fast read because, like I mentioned, the language is very accessible in terms of just like a standard biography, but still with very beautiful language. For example, among his pupils was an ethereal 23-year-old Livonian greatly admired for her beauty and delicacy. I won't pronounce her name. Oh, yeah, it's written in a very poetic but beautiful way, but again, very accessible. So that's what I'll be reading this weekend. I'm very excited. When I do finish the review for this, I will link it in this video, and I'll link these two videos together, and I'll do a written review for this as well. And I just want to say thank you to Tim Duggan for sending me this, because I'm really excited to read this, because it is related to his actual life, and it does seem like it's written in a really beautiful way. For historical fact and accuracy, I simply cannot give an opinion about that, but in terms of maybe a unique new biography, it's probably really good, though I have not read it yet. And again, this is not a finished copy, so there's a page for plates. I think there's going to be some plates or images later when this is finished, but it also includes a section for aphorisms, which are his very famous quotes, which are probably from The Will to Power, and which is pretty cool. It shows some of his ways of thinking in bite-sized chunks, so this maybe is a really good introduction for getting into who he is, and or just really easy reference. And then it has a chronology. Every single biography book needs to have a chronology. The chronology has to include the works that they published, when they were published, and their key life events, when they were born, when major personal events happened in their lives, when they got married, when they had children, if they moved to a different country, perhaps if they learned a different language. Even if there's some really key life-changing books that they've read, they should include those in chronologies also, because it really gives you a nice, easy-to-read snapshot of that person's life. Every single biography should have one, and this one has one. And it is talking about the publication history, his health, some of his travels. He experienced an earthquake in Nice in 1887. That would certainly affect his mental health, because he did have mental health issues later on in life. And it also includes notes, which obviously any nonfiction book should have. And the bibliography, they need to have bibliographies. And this one has a 4-page bibliography, so it's pretty good. That's really good, because it's just useful to have that, and it just shows really good research. So yeah, so I'm very excited to read this. And the introduction, is there an introduction? No introduction, but maybe the finished one will have. So that's what I will be reading this weekend, and I will get the review for this up as soon as possible. So thanks for listening, and have a good day. That's all. Bye everyone.